Hi everybody, this is Keith, and I have a new script to debut today. This is a script called Wiki. Now, if you've ever run a complex campaign in Roll20 with lots of handouts, lots of lore, or worked your way through a large module, you've probably felt the pain of hunting through the journal, flipping between handouts, and just generally trying to remember where everything is. So I've created the Wiki script. It is a single unified interface that lets you browse all of your campaign information, handouts, GM notes, map pins, from one panel without ever leaving the handout that you're looking at. It works for both GMs and players, and if a player uses it, there's automatic content filtering so that players only see what they are supposed to see. I'll be showing it in action today with both my own campaign and later on with an actual module. I will be using the Curse of Strahd module, so I won't be saying any spoilers, but it is possible that spoilers will show in the text on the screen or in maps that are seen. I will do my best to minimize that, but you have been warned. Alright, so first of all, I have installed the script via the one-click install. Alright, it will be available during one-click install soon. Right now it is pending, but when it is installed, I'll leave a link for the code if you want to install it early. When the code is installed, all you do is type !wiki into chat, and that will give you the link to open up the GM Wiki. If you are a player, you will see a different handout. You will see the player wiki. But let's go ahead and open the GM Wiki and enlarge that because Roll20 handouts are very small by default size. And you will see here there are different parts of the Wiki handout. I'm just going to explain them briefly and then we'll go through them in detail later. First of all is the header bar, which tells you that you're looking at the Wiki handout. There is a home button. You're looking at the home page right now. And there is a help button that will open up a help document. There are two modes to the wiki. One is the handouts mode, which is what you're looking at right now, which allows you to browse through handouts, and the other one is the pins mode. And if there are pins on a page, that will allow you to browse through the pins. Currently, we are looking at the wiki homepage. This button shows you where you are. And these buttons will become more obvious later on. They allow you to collapse or expand the structure of the document, the table of contents, basically. Right now, this is a very simple document. It's just my home page. And it just contains a whole bunch of links that are useful to the players, which are above here, and to the GM, which are here. This all comes from a handout called Wiki Home. And let's just click on this open button here. And this will show that this is actually just a handout. You can edit this handout as you wish. This handout was created using Stephen S.'s wonderful Markdown script, which allows you to style things. So you can see it's got some like D&D 5e kind of styling on it. And down here in the GM notes, I have notes that are only appropriate for GMs to see. So you can see the player notes show up at the top, the GM notes show up down at the bottom. Alright, so let's see some examples of moving around the wiki. There are two ways to get to a different part of the documents in your campaign. One is you can click on the name of the handout you're already in. This will open up a list of documents that you can choose from. So for instance, Big City Blues was the title of an adventure. I can click on that, submit, and it will show me all of the contents of Big City Blues. I can see the entire handout. I can collapse this just to the H1. There are no H1s. The H2. Or if there are larger subdivisions, I can see them all. Right now this little arrow is pointing up, meaning it's only showing me H1, H2, H3, but if I click down, it will show me the structure of the document, and I can go directly to what is the conflict at Hobbs Brewery. So I can click that, and I can see the conflict, or if I want to see the entirety of Hobbs Brewery, that will show me the entire thing. To get back to my home page, all I do is I click the homepage button up at the top. All right, so let's look at a couple of the links I have here. For instance, I have my campaign compendium. That is my main lore document, which has all of the broad information available in the campaign. I'm going to click on that, and it will switch to a view of the entire document. And once again, there is a structure over here which shows the different levels of things in the document, and I can go to any particular spot. You'll notice that there are links. These are regular hyperlinks that were added to the source document. Again, all this is a regular Roll20 handout. Again, it's been modified by Stephen S.'s Markdown script. But if you click on any of the links in here, it will take you to that particular spot in the document. And if it is a link to a different document, it will actually change the document. Right here is a history button and a back button, and if I were to click on another link, it would take me to, I would also see a forward button. So I can click on, say, Grand Markets. I think it only happens if you actually click on a link. But I can go backward through the, oh, there we are, backward and forward. So you can go back to things you've seen, or you can go forward to things you've seen and navigated back from. Anytime you want to clear the history, just click the X history button, and we can always go back to the home page from wherever we are. Let's say, click on one and say calendars and holidays, and we are in the month of the monk. This lists some details for my calendar. Let's say I wanted to send that to the players. There's a send to chat button up here. You can send to the GM, and you can see that that has got the whispered background, or you can send it to the players, and the players can see that. So you can send specific information to players. Let's show an example here. Let's go back to the history button, and let's go to something like High Harbor Guide. This is a listing of the things in my, or the places in my campaign map. Seven Clans Casino. Let's go ahead and do that. I want to send that to chat. If I send it to chat as the GM, I see both the public facing portion and I see GM information separated by a little, in this view, difficult to see horizontal rule. If I send that to the players, all they get is the player facing information. Also, if the players were navigating this document, all they would see is, again, just the player facing information. So let's go back to, oh, another thing. There are keywords up here. You will notice that, let's go back to viewing the entire document. I click all. You will notice that I have headers here, which I think are H3, but the whole premise of the wiki was built on the fact that you can navigate now from section to section in a document. So I have used H5 and H6, which are not navigable, to list keywords. So in my case, I've decided that in this document, H5 keywords are going to be places in the city, and H6 are going to be different types of locations in that city. A home, a nobleman's house, or a noble's house, a road, an educational place, things like that. And the keywords allow you to, let's say I just want to see educational institutions. I can click on that, and now this list is only places in the city that have anything to do with education. I have museums, schools, a newspaper office, things like that. So there, that is the Archaeological Society we're looking at. So you can quickly filter a large handout to just the things you want to see. That's the basics of the handouts view. Let's go to the pins view, and I'll return to the handouts view and the pins view when we do the Curse of Strahd bit at the end, just to show you how quick and easy this is to put into a existing module, especially a newly remastered and full-featured one like Curse of Strahd. So let's go to the map of my city. This is the map of the city of High Harbor. All right, So we want to switch now, since this is a map view that we have and we're looking at pins. Let's go to the pins mode, and you will see that the pins mode shows you every pin that is on this map. Let's make this a little bit smaller here. In fact, let's move it over to this side so we can see the center of the map for reasons that will become apparent soon. So this is actually, all the pins are coming from the same document that we were looking at before, so we'll see a lot of repeated information. But the difference here is they're actually coming from the pins. If you want to see information about any pin, you can click on that pin. Oh, there's obviously no information about that one. You can click on a pin to see information about it, and again, you can send this to chat. Each pin also has these little ping buttons, and there's one next to each entry, and there's also a set of ping buttons for the entry you are looking at the moment. You'll notice that there are different colors. The brownish one is for all players. The grayish one is will ping pull to just the GM. So if I want to direct the player's attention to the pin for Aaron's Gate, all I have to do is click that, and it will automatically ping pull to that particular pin. And again, if you send a chat for GM, you will get all of this information. If a player sends to chat or you send to player chat, all they will see is everything, just the stuff that they would show on a pin that they were allowed to view. And again, the pins also obey the same keywords that their corresponding handout uses. And so let's say I just want to see in the city, I want to see taverns. And so here's a list of taverns in the city, and I want to constrain that a little bit more. Let's just do the taverns that are in the area of the city called South Shore. And now I can immediately go and look at a particular tavern. And if I wanted to find that tavern, again, if I just wanted to secretly go there, I could click the GM button, and that would show me where the Salty Dog Tavern is. A couple of final notes. There are different buttons than the history buttons on the others. We have a previous and next button on here, and all that does is maneuver up and down the list of pins so that you can view them all in order. So you remember they were at a tavern, you don't remember which tavern it was. Oh, it was the Cloak and Stagger. We can go directly to the Cloak and Stagger Inn. One other note here is that if you have the pin tool mod installed, there will be a button here that will call up the pin tool interface. Since you're in pin mode, you might want to do some modification of the appearance or behavior of pins, and that will call that up for your convenience. So let's go ahead and clear all the keywords, and now if you'll give me a second, well, it'll be a hot minute for me, but it'll be momentary for you. I'm going to switch to installing this in the Curse of Strahd module. All right, and now we are in a instance of the Curse of Strahd adventure. This is the latest adventure, or the latest version of the adventure by Roll20. This one has had interhand links and pins added to it, so it is an excellent case for showing what you can do by just installing the Wiki Mod and making no other prep work. So let's go ahead and let's type in !wiki. And let's open the GM Wiki. And you can see that, for instance, this one has a generic homepage. This is the homepage that you start with when you first install the map, or when you first install the mod. And you can open and you can edit this wiki, so you can add your own, or this wiki home, that's the name of the page. You can edit it to however you like, whatever links you want to put in there, images, things like that, so you can make it a useful document. So let's close that up, and let's go to let's start with the pins mode. I'm going to click over to pins. We are on the splash page, so there are no pins to be seen, but let's go to one that has some interesting pins. Let's go to the general overall map of Barovia. And in order to populate that, we will need to click off and then back onto pins mode so that it knows that it will update. And you can see here, let's go ahead and scroll out some, and let's make this handout a little smaller and bring it over to the right. Here is the map of Barovia. It is filled with pins. I have removed some of the things that only appear on the GM layer just so that hopefully I can avoid any kinds of spoilers. This is just a map of the lands. But you can see if you click on any of these pins, you will see the explanation that you would find just by clicking on that pin. So Surrey Falls H, let's go ahead and keep that up. And if I click on H, Surrey Falls, you can see that we are seeing the same information. In this case, these are hidden, so you won't see, players really wouldn't see anything here. I believe by default, all of the information in handouts at the beginning of the installation of most games are GM-only handouts, and as more and more games get map pins, that will continue to be the case, I am sure. However, you could modify this if you wanted. So let's see, you can still do things like you want to know where is the village of Barovia, and you want to show your players where the village of Barovia is, and you can ping pole directly to that. We can click on the village of Barovia, and for the GM it will say Chapter 3 describes the village of Barovia, yada yada. You can click on that and it will take you immediately to Chapter 3. There's no other handout. All of the before and after links that Roll20 gives you in their handouts will still continue to open in the same handout that we are looking at. We can also switch to handout mode to see this particular handout. We are in, heck, I can't even remember where we're in, so let's go back to Pins View, Chapter 3. All right, Chapter 3, Village of Barovia. We can go to here, and we see that, oh yes, we can see that we are in Chapter 3, the Village of Barovia. You will notice that the navigational links on the left-hand side are gray and not brown. That indicates that all of the navigational links that you are looking at in the list come from the GM notes of the handout, hidden to players, not the notes section. If there are both kinds in a document, they will appear brown for the player visible or for the notes, and gray for the GM notes section. So you can see that right out of the box, the entirety of the adventure, all of the handouts, all of the image handouts and things are all available from the wiki. The only thing the wiki can't show you is characters. That is because characters are not handouts, and you really can't display a character sheet inside of a handout. However, if there is a link to a character, you can click on it and it will open that character sheet. And I close that quickly because, again, I want to try and avoid spoilers. So that is an example of how quickly you can just take a module and make it instantly available through the wiki interface. I'm going to switch back to my home campaign to show you a couple more features, and then we'll be wrapping up the video. All right, here we are back in my home game. I'm going to type !wiki, and that will call up a link to the wiki handout. I open it up, and I'm just going to show you a couple more things. In the handouts mode, when you click on this link, you will be given a list of handouts. Now, there may be some handouts that you really don't need to see in the list of handouts. For instance, I don't want to see the Wiki GM handout in the Wiki GM. That would make no sense. So let's go ahead and let's edit this. In every handout, there's a section called tags, and there are 3 tags that the Wiki handout can understand, or the Wiki mod can understand. There is Wiki Plus and Wiki Minus. Wiki Minus, what that does, anything that has a Wiki Minus in the tags will not show up in that handout list. Let's go ahead and make sure that we are refreshed. Let's go to handouts and let's look, and we will see that Wiki GM is no longer on the list of ones you can open. Conversely, if there is something that normally players would not have, for instance, header links camera. This is not something that I need to see, so let's go ahead and open that, and we'll edit it, and we'll give it a wiki minus. That is a utility handout. It really isn't part of information that would need to be seen. So let's go ahead and, well, it's going to appear until we update that list. All right, so now header links camera is no longer there. There's another one called header links DM, but let's just go to an adventure. Let's go to Big City Blues. You'll notice that all of my handouts that I am seeing in Wiki have this lovely textured background. Some of that is because I've been using Stephen S.'s Markdown script, but in this particular one, we can see that the original handout is just a regular Roll20 handout. And the way that we achieve this is, let's go to the home page, and let's go ahead and we are going to open Wiki Home, and we're going to edit it, which will show us the third tag that you can put in. You can put in a URL of an image, and that will put that URL as the background image for the entire wiki experience. So let's go ahead and let's delete that. There we go. And save changes. And let's go ahead and close Wiki Home. You'll see no difference now because we haven't changed anything. We haven't caused the handout to redraw. But if I were to click all, you can see that the part of the Wiki homepage that was created with Stephen S.'s script still has that background, but the rest of it does not. It's more obvious if we go to, let's see, that was Big City Blues, I think. Let's go ahead and do that. And you can see now that that is just an ordinary handout view. If you like to have a background, maybe you want a parchment background or cloth type of background, or a paper texture or something like that, all you'd need to do is to go to the home page, open the home page, edit the home page so you can get to the tags, and I'm just going to copy and paste that because I have it sitting here in another document. I'm going to copy that, and I will paste in that image, click Save, go ahead and close that. And now when I go to the home page, you can see that the entire wiki now shows that background. So let's go ahead and close this. A quick recap. There's one command, !wiki, which calls up the wiki. There is one handout that is the central area to navigate through everything. GMs get one, players get one. I might do a second video that shows the player information, but it's basically the same as the GM information, except it hides things that are not player facing. While you are navigating, you have two modes, handouts and pins. The pins section will show pins only if there are pins on the current page you are viewing. For pins and for any handout that contains anything using the H5 or H6 level of headers, that will create keywords that you can use to show only that particular pin or handout header area that has that H5 or H6 keyword in it. So right now I'm looking at pins and I'm only looking at official pins. One further note is that the H5 and H6 keywords, internally they have an OR function. I am looking at officials or nobles, so I'm seeing both, kind of and. But in logic terms, and I'm only seeing the ones that are available in Shadow Hill. There's only one noble or official entry for Shadow Hill, and that is the Raven Tower. You can click to go to any of these things. And that is the basics of the GM Wiki. Currently, at the time of recording of this video, it is not yet available for one click. I'm going to post it on the Roll20 forums. There will be a link to where you can find the post and the code in the information below the video. And as soon as it has been up for a few days, it will be merged into the Roll20 repo, and you can install it with a one-click install. And that's the Wiki Mod.